So yesterday we did the factoring of the sum and the difference of cubes. I'm just going to quickly refresh you for those of you that were mock AP testing. So we have two formulas. We have the sum of cubes, which is this one, and then we have the difference of cubes. I have them on a poster, so you don't have to have them memorized.
You don't? So we're not?
I decided you don't have to.
Because I was not.
That was going to be hard. Yes, I can barely memorize.
Andres.
So you don't have to memorize them. I will keep this poster up. But this is the sum, this is the difference. All right, so when you're looking here at your problems, you see x cubed, and you are going to ask yourself, is 64 a cube? Well, what number cubed will give me 64? 4. So yes, it is a cube. So a is going to be x, b is going to be 4, because 4 cubed is 64. Does that make sense? A is x, b is 4, right? Okay, and so now all you have to do is plug it into the formula. So in place of the a, I put x. In place of the b, I put 4. In place of the a, I put x. A times b, that's 4x. And then b squared, which is 4 squared. And that's it. Okay? So that's what we did yesterday. That was it. I had an easy day yesterday. So y'all didn't get behind.
Did you record it?
Yes, I did. It was like 8 minutes, I think. Something like that. It was short. All right. Today we're going to be grouping and using the quadratic pattern. So first is grouping. You use the grouping method when you have 4 terms. All right, when you have 4 terms, that's when we're going to use the grouping method.
Did we use 4 terms yesterday?
No, we only had 2 because they were like 1, 2,
Oh.
1, 2, yeah. But here it has 1, 2, 3, 4. So you have 4 terms here. All right, so we're going to group our first 2, and we're going to group our second 2. When you group the first 2 terms, we're looking for a GCF. So what is in common in both those terms?
Hey.
They both have x, right? How many x's? Higher.
3.
2. They both have x squared. They both have x squared.
Oh, I'm looking at the wrong one.
Oh, were you looking at the one below?
Yeah.
Yeah. So they both have x squared. When you take x squared out of x cubed, what are you left with?
1x.
Good. And when you take x squared out of 3x squared, what are you left with? 3. So I have x plus 3.
Wait.
So I grouped the first 2, right?
Yeah.
The GCF was x squared. So I take x squared out of x cubed and left with just plain old x. Right, because there's 3 of them, and I took 2 out. And then I took the x squared out, and I'm just left with 3. All right, now you're looking at the second group, second 2 terms. What number can you distribute out of those? 16, very good. And I'm going to also take the negative sign out, because they both have negatives. I'm going to take the negative sign out. All right, when I take negative 16 out of negative 16x, what are you left with?
X.
And when you distribute out the negative 16 from the negative 48? 3, good. And it's going to be positive because the negative went out. All right, what do you notice about your 2 parentheses?
They're the same.
They're the same. For this grouping method, they should be the same. All right, if they are different, it means you probably did something wrong. All right, so they have to be the same.
That's it?
We're almost done. All right, so because these guys are the same, we are going to write that parentheses one time.
So just square?
No, just write it once. It's kind of like you're taking that out as a GCF. Out of, like this is a term and this is a term, and they both have x plus 3. So we're taking the x
So
plus,
you're just making it to 1 term.
yeah. And then we're going to write the stuff that's left over in another set of parentheses. So we're going to write the x squared minus 16. All right, and that's the grouping method. Now, you do need to make sure that you factor completely. So I'm looking here. This is a square, right? Is 16 a square? What?
Yes, a 4.
4. So I can rewrite that as x plus 4, x minus 4. Right? Difference of squares. Y'all remember doing that?
Yes.
All right. And then the x plus 3 is just going to hang out in front. And then that's your answer. So after you group it, just see if you can break anything down farther. All right, go number 6. All right, same thing. Group the first two, group the second two. What can you take out of the first two?
X squared.
Very good. And when you take x squared out, what are you left with?
X plus 4.
Good. What can you take out of the second two?
3.
And is it going to be positive or negative?
Negative.
Very good. So when I take a negative 3 out, what am I left with?
X plus 4.
X plus 4, which is good because those guys should be the exact same. So we're going to write our two parentheses. We're going to write it one time, just the x plus 4 once. That takes care of them. And then you're going to write what you have left. X squared minus 3.
Is that it, or you
You
keep
can't
going?
break it down anymore. It's just a,
Right, so you can't break it down.
You can't break it down no more. Okay.
You can't.
Anymore.
can't break down.
Anymore.
Yes, you cannot break it down. 3 is not a square, so that is it.
Cool.
It has to be a square to break it down.
Yeah, because that's a square, so it has to be a square. All right, go to number 7. All right, number 7, same thing. We're going to group the first two. We're going to group the second two. So when I group the first two, what can I take out?
X cubed.
Very good. When I take an x cubed out, what am I left with?
Negative 3. X plus negative 3? No, X minus 3?
X minus 3, yeah.
Let's raise our hands.
For the second two terms, what can I take out? Yeah, 27. And when you take out 27, what's left?
X minus 4.
X minus
3.
3.
3.
Cause
Yeah.
should be the same. And 3 times 27 is 81. All right. So these guys are the same. Yay, I did it right. I'm going to write that once. And then I'm going to write my two GCFs that I pulled out together. X cubed plus 27.
X minus 3. X plus 3. X plus 3.
No, hold on. All right, so this is a cube, right?
Yeah.
Is 27 a cube?
Yeah.
Yes. The cubes, you have to use the formulas. Okay.
Yay.
So if it's a cube, make sure you use the formulas. The squares are the easy guys where you just do, x plus 4, x minus 4. The cubes, you have to use the formulas.
You just do it as a solid and not put cubes on the test.
No. All right, but the formulas aren't hard. I'm not even making you memorize, so it's okay.
No, it's not.
All right, let's find our A and our B. So the A is going to come from the first term. So what's the A? Just X. Just X. And
3.
the B is 3. So you're trying to come up, what number cubed will give me 27? 3. All right. So we are breaking this cube down. I'm just ignore this x minus 3 here. We're breaking down this cube. And so I'm going to open up my parentheses here. My cube formula is up here on this poster. So I have A plus B. So tell me again, what's the A?
X plus 3.
X plus 3. Good. All right, and then A squared. What will that look like?
X squared.
Okay, and then minus, what is A times B? 3x. And then last thing, B squared? 9.
9. 9.
What? It's the sum of cubes that's up here on this poster. That's what we did yesterday. So you have sum and you have difference. It's on the front.
Okay.
Do you see it up there in the box?
And we use difference, right?
You wait for which one? This one we use sum because it was a plus sign.
Wait, is that B cubed at the end?
Squared. It's a 2.
Squared?
Yeah. All right, this x minus 3 from the problem, that's just going to stay in front. Don't do anything with it.
That's it.
That's it.
It's easy.
All right, let's do one more cube one, and then we'll move on to the last part.
Can we do 8? Oh, can I go up there and do 8?
Do you want to do 9?
Yeah,
I want to do another cube.
Come on, you can do 9. Let's go.
You have to do it on here, though, because I'm recording.
Yeah, boy.
No, this
recording?
is classified.
Recording.
Yeah.
Hey, y'all follow me on.
Oh, sorry.
Ain't nobody.
I think it's on YouTube.
Andres.
Yeah.
Too excited today. You gotta ask this question.
Come on, G.
Can I shut up? No.
You gotta.
Y'all hands look alike. Beat that when you post it. That's crazy.
Watch for fan
No.
X plus 2, right?
Yeah. Good stuff, Daisy, man. You smart. Yeah, I forgot what to do next, really.
So when you group the second two,
Oh, yeah.
Good.
Hey. Oh. Then you do this. And then you do this. Right?
uh-huh. Okay, so now look, that's x cubed, it's a cube, right? Is 8 a cubed?
No.
Yes, it is.
Yes.
Oh my goodness.
All right, so now find your A and your B.
Okay. A. X. And then 2.
And the formula's behind you in orange. If you need help.
Open your parentheses.
A
Nice.
minus
X squared. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
3.
uh,
You told yourself to play this.
bro, I know, bro. Don't tell me.
Wait.
I for-
4.
Oh, yeah, I know.
What is that?
It's a 4.
So 4.
Right on the top. My boy be good, bro. I
About
saw
that
that.
team with a gigantic head.
And then that's it.
Can you straighten up the paper?
And so then the x plus 2, it's going to be part of your answer, it's just going to go in front.
What?
This x plus 2
The X
here,
plus 2 that's left.
stick it here in front.
Oh yeah.
And then now box golf. Very good.
You did it.
Turn up good.
That's a good
Just because
illustration.
of that, I'm gonna buy you a stick.
That's a very nice rectangle.
It's an extra table.
No, I'm gonna give him
All right, good job. So,
I get that. And I get
let's go down to the quadratic pattern.
You sounded last time on the bus.
without me.
I was thinking these last time.
All right, so these last two, they have 3 terms. And so, how would you factor this guy right here?
Oh, you do the X, right?
Yeah, the x method, right? So we would do the x method. We'd say what multiplies to give me negative 10, adds to give me negative 3. 5 and 2, and it's going to be negative 5, positive 2. So you do x minus 5, x plus 2, and then that's how you'd factor it, right? Y'all remember doing that? All right. I don't like these steps here, so you can cross them out if you want. I think they're
Do
confusing.
you have whiteout?
I do. I'll get you some here in a second.
I'll
All right, so
my computer.
for 11 and 12, we are still going to be doing the x method. The only difference is that instead of having a plain old x in these parentheses, we're going to have an x squared. Because it should be matching that middle term. Does that make sense?
And it's always going to be an x squared.
Well, because this one is x squared here, so it'll be x squared. But you see on the normal ones that we do, that's a plain old x, and so that's why it's plain old x.
Okay.
Right. But other than that, it's all the same thing. What multiplies to give me 12 adds to give me negative 1. Negative 4 and positive 3. So minus 4 plus 3. And then same thing before, just make sure you can't take it farther. X is the square, is 4 square. Yes, what number squared will give me 4?
2.
2. So I have x plus 2, x minus 2. And then what about 3? Is that a square? No. So I'm just going to write x squared plus 3 next to it. That's it.
You made me right outside the
Sorry. You have to do 80% of it.
Huh?
80% of it.
Okay, I don't need to write out.
Okay.
I thought we were going to need to use like the space for the order.
No. All right. Let me just do number 12 real quick. So on number 12, I want two numbers to multiply to give me 6, but add to give me negative 7.
6 and 1.
6 and 1. And then they're going to be negative because I need it to be a negative 7. All right, so the only difference on these guys, because it's an x to the 4th, here is what? What's going to go right here and here?
X squared.
X squared. So I have x squared, minus 6, minus 1. All right, so now I'm checking for squares. Is 6 a square?
Yes.
What's the square root of 6? What's 3 times 3?
Oh, wait, no,
9.
No, there's no.
Right.
No,
6 isn't a square.
Why you
Is
make
it?
me feel like
Every class period has done that today. Everyone. 3. All right, what about 1? Is 1 a square?
That's it.
Yeah, it is. It's a
It is. Yeah, 1.
We're so unintelligent.
Every class period, like the same exact deja vu. Is 6 a square? Yes. Is
X
1 a
minus
square?
1.
No. Yes, and then x minus 1. So 1 is a square, 6 is not a square.
Oh.
Because 1 times 1 is 1.
She